Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. Today I have 5 underfollowed Todd McFarlane 9.8 comics to buy. And these ones are pretty great 9.8s, but I also noticed that the raw copies are really cheap out there. So, whatever your budget, I think these ones are gettable, which is pretty great. So the first one up here, it's a New Mutants number 93 in a 9.8. This one's definitely underfollowed. It's a Rob Liefeld and a Todd McFarlane cover. Pretty sure as well this is the first time a Wolverine and Cable kind of fight, so this is kind of in that underfollowed basket of a Wolverine versus key issues that are quite popular to collect as well. The Wolverine versus Cable on this one. So really eye-appealing cover. Todd with a Rob Liefeld on this one. There's 64 9.8s in a blue label. One is 64. That's pretty cool for a an underfollowed Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane collector item. 27.6% is the 9.8 ratio, which for a not too heavily graded book is pretty great. Kind of 1 in 4 of them are 9.8s about that are sent to CGC. So I saw one of these sell. Not too many of them out there. Only saw one sale on eBay for $130 or best offer. So I'm thinking like that one might have went a little bit under 100 if the seller wanted to kind of just get some cash, but maybe a little bit over 100. So we'll call it right around 100, I think is a pretty fair value on a New Mutants 93 in a 9.8. And definitely a solid underfollowed McFarlane book to consider. Next one kind of made the rounds in Canada quite often when I was a kid. I've wanted this one off and on. I've been close to adding it to my collection. It's an Amazing Spider-Man skating on thin ice with a really cool Todd McFarlane cover. Definitely remember this one when I was younger. Not a lot out there in the 9.8. There's a few on the census. I'll talk about the one that came out in 1990. There's another sort of a run of this one that came out in 1993. But the one, kind of the first ones that came out in 1990, there's 8 9.8s in a blue label. Quite a few signature series ones with Todd signing these as well. But interesting, like in the Canadian price variant, there's 9 of them. So there's a little bit more in the Canadian price variant because, this being kind of a hockey cover. It was like the anti-drug issue, but being a hockey cover, it was really popular in Canada. Growing up, I absolutely remember this one. 18.2%, the 9.8 ratio in the normal priced version, with 8 in the 9.8. I saw this one sell recently for $209 or best offer. Admittedly, there's not a lot out there. I was actually surprised on eBay to see one sell. $209 or best offer. This one's sort of been in a normal range, I would say, where I thought they sold about $175, and I think at a $209 or best offer, they're going to sell right around $175. Let's call the fair value on this one. This one's kind of been $175 for a really long time. It's still kind of wantable, and I feel like maybe there's some investment value, even though it hasn't really, gone up in price that I know of, even with the hot comic book market in the last few years here. So. But kind of just a cool one to consider if you're a McFarlane fan. I know I've been really close to buying that one in the past. Next one's such a cool one. Just got almost everything on this cover, I think. A Marvel Tales 235 in a 9.8. You got like Spider-Man and X-Men on this cover. Wolverine looking cool too. One to kind of easily overlooked. I think this one is underfollowed, but absolutely, one you want to consider to have in your collection if you're a big Todd McFarlane fan. 45 9.8s. In the blue label. There's quite a few signature series of these ones, all of these, with Todd doing quite a few signing events over the years. 45.5%, the 9.8 ratio for this one, a 1 of 45. Saw one sell for $300. Yeah, this one is, I think, the most wanted, or I'm pretty sure it is the most wanted of the Marvel Tales Todd McFarlane covers. There's a couple others that are pretty cool. This one, I was sort of used to it kind of going like 200 to 225, so maybe now it's like 300, right around there. So slowly but steadily inching up there. Definitely some Todd McFarlane fans that I know of out there on the team that really love this one. I really love this one too, but haven't been able to kind of grab one in the 9.8 over the years. But a good underfollowed McFarlane one to consider for sure. Next one, I saw this one recently sell in a 9.8 auction. It was on eBay, an Amazing Spider-Man 306 with the Action #1 cover homage. Yeah, I think this one's super collectible. One of the kind of McFarlane books, besides like the obvious key issues from his Amazing Spider-Man run that really stick out as good collector items. This one's trended up over time pretty well. 383 9.8s in a blue label. 33.6%, the 9.8 ratio. Saw one recently sell in an auction for $363. So I think kind of $350 to $400 would be the range on this one. And this is one, in 2019, so we're getting on, 2-3 years ago. But remember this one being kind of 150 to 175. So over time, I have noticed that this one is trending up, and yeah, the Action 1 homage is absolutely super collectible. So this could be still one to kind of get in there on, I think, if you're a big McFarlane fan. And I've been pretty close to this one in the past, seeing a couple auctions I've wanted. Yeah, so $363 was the last eBay auction that I saw. Next one's a really cool one. We'll get into a bunch of bonus ones. I feel like there's probably about 12 or 13 books altogether. But consider a Spider-Man number 10. I think is a pretty cool one. That's very affordable if you're a McFarlane fan. In this one, the Wolverine's old costume returns. So Spider-Man, this was one Spider-Man number 10. I think Spider-Man number 9 is probably the more collected cover, of this sort of era of Todd McFarlane. He's in his old costume on Spider-Man number 9 and Spider-Man number 10. I think they're kind of equally as cool cover, but because you get the new costume returning on this one, it kind of sticks out as a really cool, affordable one. Saw one selling a really good price too for $65. So I think that's one to aim for. I didn't write that down, but I saw a newsstand in a 9.8 sell. I think it was like 140 or best offer. So like, 65 for the direct edition, maybe getting around $100 for the newsstand edition. I think is a pretty great collector item on this one. There's 218 9.8s in a blue label, and 63.9% is the 9.8 ratio. Yeah, you don't want to overpay for that one at all, because there's going to be a ton of them and a ton that aren't graded as well. So 65, yeah, I think at that price, that's a really cool Underfollowed McFarlane 9.8 to consider. All right, we'll get into some bonuses here. The first one is Flaming Carrot Comics number 27. I've been close to adding this one as well. Over the years, I've saw a few auctions kind of pop up that were really tempting, but a pretty cool Todd McFarlane Ninja Turtles cover. I maybe don't like this cover the best. Maybe that's why I haven't grabbed it, but it's one that I've heard other people really, really like it. So one to think about on an Underfollowed McFarlane list for sure. An Amazing Spider-Man number 328, the next one. Really collectible. This might be right up there with, in that Amazing Spider-Man McFarlane run, one of the non-keys that are really collectible, because Todd did the Hulk run before his Amazing Spider-Man run, so kind of cool that he did a kind of a Hulk versus Spidey cover. This one is really well collected in a 9.8. Definitely one to consider. I think it's like, I didn't look up at any prices this morning, but I think it's kind of maybe $250, but don't kind of quote me on that. A quick completed listing search should get you a few prices on that. If you're interested. Next one is a Coyote number 13. This is the first Todd McFarlane cover pretty much in comic books. Pretty cool eye appeal on this one. This one's definitely collected by big McFarlane fans. Not one that really stuck out for me from my childhood. So I've never went after this one, but you might want to consider a Coyote 13 if you're the biggest McFarlane fan. I like this next one as a cool modern one that been pretty close to kind of wanting and seeing some auctions that have tempted me over the years. A Symbiote Spider-Man number 1 in the McFarlane variant cover on this one. Yeah, any kind of, McFarlane Spider-Man is almost a no-brainer. This is like the 1-for-100 variant for this Symbiote Spider-Man number 1. And yeah, in the modern age, Todd hadn't done too many, like new modern in the last kind of 10 years. Hadn't done too much Spider-Man comics. So this one is kind of cool. I think it's like maybe $125 if you kind of weighed it in an auction in a 9.8. So it's one you can still, think about getting at a pretty decent price. All right, next one I do have Detective Comics 576. I got, this one is kind of probably second in line, I would say. It is the first Todd McFarlane Batman cover, but Batman 423, a little bit better eye appeal on that one. I got 2 of those in a 9.8, and I think like 5 raw copies as well in the first printing for Batman 423. But this great one, second in line. This one's slowly but steadily kind of gone up in value over time. I remember I bought mine for, it was kind of like $125 or something like that. And I think they kind of go for $275 to $300, although I didn't look that up this morning, so don't kind of quote me on that. But yeah, definitely if you're a Batman fan and a McFarlane fan, Detective 576 is a great one to go after. Talked about this next one recently, Star Squadron number 47 in a 9.8. I do, out of like Todd's earlier covers, I really like the eye appeal of this one. Coyote 13, like I wouldn't really go, I like this one better than that one, I would say, if you're into maybe going after some early Todd McFarlane covers. Yeah, All-Star Squadron 47, I think that one in the 9.8 sold for $300, and there's like not a lot of these, I think less than 50. in a 9.8 in the blue label. We recently covered a sale on that one. So 300, yeah, price target to aim for on that one. Another cool recent Wolverine, or Todd McFarlane Wolverine book, Return of Wolverine #1 in the McFarlane Remastered Edition. There's like a sketch version of this one, which is even more kind of rare, but I really just like the colored version. I think it's like a 1 for 500 variant as it is in the color version, so pretty rare as it is. But yeah, this one, I've saw some auctions, you know, when this one kind of first came out, they had sort of went in that sort of 100 to 150 range. That still might be doable, but I think this one's kind of getting up there to the 200 range. And the ones that are online right now are all like pretty ridiculously overpriced, so I feel maybe 1 or 2 have went even over 200 in a 9.8 on this one. But yeah, well, if you're a Wolverine fan and a McFarlane fan, that Return of Wolverine #1, it really stood out to me in the last few years when it first came out as just being really cool. All right, last Underfollowed McFarlane 9.8 in the bonus round here, an Incredible Hulk 345. So 340 I love as well, for sure, the second time Hulk and Wolverine ever fight. But out of the Todd McFarlane Incredible Hulk run of comic books in the 9.8, this one's sort of second in line as being really well collected. And I think nowadays it's about $800 to $900 in a 9.8, I'm pretty sure as well. So not one that I've particularly, I have this one in a raw copy, but I never really wanted to pay up for the 9.8. I'm not the biggest fan of this cover, to be honest, but a lot of people really like it. So yeah, Hulk 345 has just steadily kind of gone up in price, and it should definitely be on that an Underfollowed McFarlane list. All right, team, I'll put all the books in the description below on a quick list if you wanted to have a look. But I'm a huge McFarlane fan. I got most of the main key issues. I feel over time I'm probably going to add 1 or 2 of these for sure, just being a big McFarlane fan. And a lot of these Underfollowed ones are great and make a lot of sense for sure. All right, team, thanks so much for watching, though. I'll see you on the next one. If you're liking my content, please subscribe and hit that bell, and I'll keep you updated on future videos.